She did purpose for the use is the family camping and building a snow roof soon. But according to our ordinance, 2 or more RVs on a lot is RV park. I don't have a problem with her having one, but there's currently 2 sitting there. I don't know how to get it in. Some of this. Well, you can.
We told her the one could only be there temporarily, right before.
I don't think we've told her,
He didn't set any dates.
did set any time, didn't tell her that, but it's only because I didn't even know she'd already moved them in.
Right.
But there is 2 sitting there. I mean, they can do a conditional use on one, can't be used for family camping, that'll follow the residential rule.
So are we thinking of approving one for her with the condition she only has one, the other has to be
You can come and go.
You come and go, but you can't be there.
Yeah, you can come and go. You just gotta go by the ordinance. The ordinance says 2 or more in the camping, RV park.
Is that coming or going?
Pardon?
Is that coming or going? Like an RV park, they come and they go.
They come and they go.
I mean, I'm not being funny, I'm serious.
Well, I know, then she'd have to follow the rules of an RV park, and then we'd have to set her up as an RV park. That's what the ordinance states,
It's under
yeah.
a whole different set of rules. So,
Yeah, I mean,
so I guess we need to explain that to her. So, you guys have anything to say? No, did Sherry get signed it at all?
She was writing.
Okay, well, I just said she was gonna try, so.
Yeah, she
Okay.
has the link.
Okay,
So
so,
was the access issue for this?
yes, that is not a vacated street, and she has been given an address of 665 Park Street. Yeah, it wasn't vacated.
so I guess then what I'll do is, with some more discussion, I will move, this moved on to, the council meeting. Okay. And since that's the only thing on this agenda, we need to close this public hearing at 2:53. Get on the. June 10th, 4 P.M. I call the city council meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thing on the agenda is the May 27th White House. No, May 27th council meeting minutes, backwards. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections, on the council meeting minutes? I entertain a motion to accept the May 27th city council meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the May 27th, 25 city council meeting minutes.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then we have the public hearing for the Wright House. It's also connected on May 27th. Are there any additions? Corrections? No. I entertain a motion to approve the public hearing regarding the Wright House.
I'll make the motion to approve the, public hearing for the White House.
Second.
All in favor? Reports, is Kurt not here? Okay. And we'll go to new business. First thing on is Mr. Goslin with his financial report.
Okay. You got your appropriations review. Period.
Wait.
Let's go, you're on to that. Okay.
He just moved.
So we look at that, we've got 1 month left. Just about to cross the finish line. The only ones that get close, we've got, I mean, debt service should be fine. It'll be really close. We just got 1 more payment left. Then we still got pretty tight in material services for water and material services for sewer. But, I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah, about to finish line, okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's getting real close, but that's just, the realities of a tight budget. Okay, and then on to the next page, which is the, bills. Big one on there is the, draft abatement. 11,176.
Yeah, but 461375 is gonna be reimbursed.
Okay, I'm just done.
Yeah, but I mean, just so everybody knows, that's going to be reimbursed.
Yeah. And then 2,900 for Memorial Market, for Memorial Day, flea market products. And then, we got my bill on there, we got audit for 11,700. Other than that, everything's pretty, and then cover works for the office carpet.
Yeah, insurance.
I'll just throw it out, I'm getting a chance to talk.
I'm
Paul.
just making sure we all
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. Other than that, that was it. We've got, $290,000 in cash right now. Yeah.
So, so have they started the next audit, or, have they
Yeah.
contacted you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have to send them
No,
a monthly email.
no, they have everything. They uploaded or they took a report out of our trial house maybe Thursday last week.
Okay. You guys have any questions for,
On the audit too.
Carol?
No,
I would entertain a motion to approve the bills as presented and get them paid.
So I'll make the motion to approve, the May 25 budget, bill to be paid.
no, I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Okay, well, those please. Kurt. Thank you.
Don't have a lot to report. We've had one medical call, since we have no ground fires, burn barrels. All we really got is recreational fires in a fire pit. Just be really careful with them, and if there's any wind at all that day, please don't even do them.
And there, I think there was a question about chainsaws. Can we use chainsaws?
$10,000, you're still okay with a chainsaw till 1 o'clock.
Okay, and we changed the sign out there.
Check.
It's great.
It's green still.
Okay.
Lots of orange. Also for Kurt. I got something from the CWRR, which is your community wildfire risk reduction, about the timeline adjustments. Of course, we have to do the next financial progress report is due in November, but they also want us to know, based on your current project plan, will your work extend beyond March 31st of 2026? And if yes, we just need to run March. So we need to be working, we need to work on this. This is something we'll have to respond to. I need to work on them time. No, the job's not here.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the next item, the budget approval, I was a little ambitious about getting that done. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have a discussion in regards to the budget.
Yeah.
And just a little input, we're like everybody else, we're trying to balance our budget and, finding other sources of money to keep going.
So this is an extension of the conversation that was carried on during the budget process for those of you who were there. In our 2023 audit, general fund started out with an $88,000 deficit. If you recall, that's when we received the fire grant, and fire is just a department of the general fund. So when we reported at June 30th, 2023 that we had 77,000, that's actually a misnomer because 147 of that was the fire grant. What we really is in real terms, in unrestricted funds, we ended the year with $70,000 deficit fund balance. Current year, we are at about a loss of about 25,000 in the general fund, so we're just piling on this deficit. And yeah, so we're by the end of the year, then by the end of this current year, we'll probably be at 125,000, maybe more than that in deficit fund balance, and we budgeted for about $100,000 or $90,000 budget loss in general fund. Just kind of as an just information for everybody, our year-to-date revenues for the general fund are $110,000, and our expenses are $135,000. That's where the $25,000 loss. Adjustments in that have been made for the grants. That fire grant is still in there, so I didn't include the revenues or the expenditures associated with that because it's just an in and out. It's going to go in. It's going to go out. The revenues that we have in general fund consists of property taxes, franchise fees, and cannabis taxes. The property taxes in total for the whole year for the general fund are about $30,000. So when people pay their property tax bill, the general fund or unrestricted funds receive $30,000. Not a whole lot.
Not a lot. Okay.
No, and makes up a small portion, not quite a third of total revenues for the general. The general fund consists of any operation that is not restricted elsewhere. So we have a street fund, and that's its own deal. Street funds are their source of revenue is state street tax dollars. So when we pay fuel tax, that's at the gas station, we get a portion of that, which amounts to about $10,000. The street fund actually is another one that we will probably have a $70,000 to $80,000 fund deficit. And our ongoing balance in there gives us about 10 or $11,000 to spend on street services. Staffing costs alone for those services, just plowing roads, things like that, are $25,000. And when the street fund runs out of money, you have to dip into the general fund. So we kind of have this compounding problem. So deficit fund balance in general fund, deficit fund balance in street tax fund. The only things that actually have money in the city are the water and sewer funds. And we're not supposed to use those to backfill the general fund. But in terms of fund balance, we've essentially borrowed without actually documenting anything specifically saying we're gonna borrow money from the sewer fund. We just have a shared cash pool for the city like every city does, right? And so when we write checks, we're essentially writing general fund checks using water and sewer fund dollars because that's the only money we actually have to go to sewer fund. So this is a problem that every city in this entire state can run into, is not enough money in general fund, not enough revenue sources in general fund. And so it's probably time to start having a conversation around how to raise more money for general fund. And there's three obvious options, and I'm sure there's probably variations of each of those. The point today is to simply raise awareness by including everybody that's here, and then also just talk about options. And the intent is to have this be an ongoing conversation for probably at least the next 3 months before a decision is made. So the hope would be that maybe more and more people would come to have part of this discussion as we start figuring out ways to raise more revenue. Because more likely than not, I mean, there's one option that restricts services, and there's two options that have the citizens of Sumter paying more money. Those three options that are commonly used. One is probably the most common, which is add a surcharge to your water and sewer bills. Pays into the general fund. I think Baker City has done one. City of John Day is contemplating one. Those types of things. And most, actually, John Day has some form of that already. And they talk about changing it or adding to it. Most cities, I think 60% of the cities in Oregon have some level of fee that's charged to the citizens to pay for general fund services. And so that is the easiest, quickest option. Maybe not the best option. It's an option. And so you just kind of have to weigh how to do that. One of the problems at the budget meeting was brought up was, well, there's people who don't pay water and sewer, they're property in town, how do they chip in for that? And so then that moves on to the second option, which if you want to really make it so that it's fair, you'd actually go out to the voters for a levy. And you say, hey, we need an operating levy. We need to raise X amount of dollars, and it would be in place for 5 years. Voters would have to approve that. And if they don't approve it, well, clearly it doesn't pass. But that will work. It just has to be renewed every 5 years and has to go to the people every 5 years. That's another option. The other option is the reduction in services, which is to say, okay, we have to have water and sewer. So we would then essentially donate everything else to some other governmental entity and not really function as a city anymore and just be a water and sewer district. And then the only sources of revenues, no more property tax dollars, no more anything like that. The only sources of revenue would just be water and sewer fees. And so all your costs would be associated with water and sewer. That means no plowing roads. That means no parks. That means you have to hand off flea market to something else. But it would solve that problem of not having enough general revenue fund. I'm not recommending anything. I'm just trying to present options.
That's an option, and yeah, and like you say, or lowering the services, there will be no snow plowing. People will be doing their own snow plowing.
Yeah. If they actually become a water and sewer district, that would have to go to our ability people as well. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Rob, and that would be if it's not right to be taking water and sewer money and putting it into the general fund, then actually we shouldn't really look at that option. to raise water and sewer, because all you're doing is saying, we're taking the blessing now and we're taking it out of the general fund, no? Yeah.
It'd be a surcharge.
Yeah, see, it would be a new surcharge, not increasing water and sewer fees.
Yeah.
That's a separate conversation. So
Okay,
they're sustaining their own fund balance, right? Because water and sewer fees should pay for the 100% of the cost of actually delivering water and sewer. That's over here. And this would be a new fee that would go on your water and sewer bill, and it'd be a separate line item that says, hey, this is for general fund, we're gonna use it to support general government activities.
okay.
And what's the estimate with that monthly fee?
Yeah, I thought we had kind of ballpark back in the napkin, $20 to $25 a month per person with a water sewer connection. I think it's a very reasonable discussion to say, well, there's people in this town that own property that don't pay water and sewer fees. And so you would have to look at what that would be if we included everybody that owned the water. But then you're adding to that billing structure, because those people don't currently get those now for their non-water and sewer costs.
That'd be another expense.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we just have to figure out a way, and that, again, that brought us to the tax conversation, because then, well, the county already assesses and bills all that stuff, and so that would be probably the fairest way of increasing revenues, but it is more difficult because you do have to go to the board of people, council couldn't do that on their own.
And so why we brought this up for this meeting is, we're going to have the next meeting.
Well, yeah, we can, not next meeting's budget, but
Yeah.
the
Following-
normal monthly meeting, I would come and present to you guys a little more financial detail, but the hope was we generate a little bit of excitement about this, that, hey, council's talking about raising fees, so let's get as many people as we can here, so we actually want to hear what your ideas are.
So that's the idea, is instead of putting out a lot of rumors and all this stuff, we want to have a meeting where we hear from people and here's the reality of what we need for money. And what is the reality that you guys will all support?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's important that people take the time, and like Rob said, this is not gonna be done next month or anything. We're gonna have several meetings. We talked about having one later in the evening for those that can't be here. So we're gonna do this several times, so people need to pay attention and come give us some input.
This,
I mean, this is, I mean, if you don't wanna see services and you don't wanna see your roads plowed and all this, then I guess you can just say, I don't care.
So Baker City, they only plow in the snow, they only plow the main roads, they don't go individually on every side street.
That's not true,
They do them?
as time allows, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
So,
but they only do it when they get 4 inches of snow or more.
so this, like I say, so let's, get some interest for people to actually show up and have a conversation instead of just ignoring it and then complaining later because they didn't have any input.
Yeah.
This is your chance to have input.
well, this is like we were talking in budget, though, this is gonna be something that the common people need to realize is that the city cannot afford to give you services. Services need to be rendered, need to be paid for. And now we're to the point to where this has to be done, or we don't have services. So it's either they get to approve through taxes or through the election.
Yeah.
To either do this and okay the money for the services which we're saying is there, or the services go away. So they need.
Or council imposes.
We come up with another option, and that's what we want to hear from people. John, you want to say something?
How many people are on the text thing, the alert?
Oh, a lot of people,
Anyone who subscribed?
yeah, there's quite a few people.
That's a good way to get it out that you're
Yeah,
gonna.
and we'll have it on the website, but I just mean, you all are out there, so, like I said, instead of misinformation, the city's broke and this and that, let's talk about, we're having a meeting and talk about how we're gonna keep the city thriving. I mean, it's time, and we need people to pay attention and show up instead of complaining.
So cutting back a little bit on services, that's just gonna buy us a little time, isn't it? Like less time on.
Well, I mean, if you just made it, a point to say, okay, well, we have $10,000 to spend in roads. And once that 10,000 is gone, we're done. We can't do anything else, or we have a plan to get the $10,000. The problem is that you've already got a deficit fund balance in there. You had that, for years and you just keep adding to it. And so then how you rebuild that, and get back to just to where you actually have money. Same with general fund, you know, I mean, but realistically, how do you not maintain the facilities you have? And that's where most of the costs come from. We gotta maintain this building, we gotta maintain the parks, you gotta maintain all this other stuff. Well, that's time and effort on all that stuff. And so you got payroll costs in there. You may not think, oh gosh, it's that expensive to clean the bathroom, but if we did a time study, I can tell you exactly how much time is taken and how much it costs to do those things. All those things add up, and that's where your money's going.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. So get the word out where, watch for postings, watch for website alerts, and be present. Okay, moving on, we have zoning for lot 1200 address assignments, Brenda?
Yes. Yeah, I know Kurt's been down there quite a bit talking to him, and I did go and talk to Sean, Barry. As the surveyors have already contacted the state, they only update the maps and the lot numbers in October once a year. So between the state and the county and Don, he's okay to start building on those lots, and we can assign his 3 addresses to him. It'll get updated in the map in October.
And Kurt has the numbers.
Yeah, Kurt, you have the numbers, but I
Yeah.
don't think we voted on them, so.
Yep.
Cause, on the lot 1200, so. It is originally on that one map that's over there when they did the subdivision, so it was already there. So lot, parcel 8 is 655, 9 is 635, and 10 is 605. So we just,
Okay, do I have a motion to, approve the address assignments for lot 1203 parcels?
I make the motion that we approve, lot 1200, individual.
well,
What? That's what I said, lot 1200. Partial 8, partial 9, and partial 10 with the addresses proposed.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So the next thing on the agenda is the conditional use that we just had our public hearing about. So are we going to approve this with, conditions? Or how do you want to do this?
oh, I don't have a problem approving it with conditions. You can only have, one, recreational vehicle on the lot, but I mean, one can come and go, but they, like vacation a week or flea market, and it is seasonal. We do not have seasonal actually defined in our ordinance, but generally it's from when the snow's, when the snow starts, unless they want to do the opposite and be in the snow. But it is only one, so she'll be, when we, get a hold of her and tell her it's approved, that it will be just for the one RV.
So I'm gonna make a motion to approve the one RV at 665 Park Street for conditional use.
I'll make the motion to approve, so for the conditional, 65, the conditional use permit.
No, second it.
You need to put the provision in there that it's for one RV, not for
And then there's that there for one RV.
Provision of amending it from one RV.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, let her know.
Mindy, will you call her and let her know?
Okay, the next thing is the museum parking. There has been some talk about utilizing some of that for parking on one side. because during all the, events downtown, there is no parking. So we were talking about using the hot side for, ATVs or, you know, small vehicle type parking, so they could get them off the street. So,
Well, I think it would benefit any event that they have down there, you know, including the Ren Fair coming up. People are more like to stop and look if they actually have a place to park instead of driving through town looking, hunting for a place to park. And it is the super hot side, especially in July, so I mean, I wouldn't wanna be a vendor on that side. That's for sure, but, whether or not you wanna just do it for the, volunteers July flea market that they, sponsor, or you wanna do it for all free?
well, that's the thing that, you know, in the past, we've had vendors on that side also for Memorial Day and or Labor Day. There was supposed to be a vendor this year and he canceled at the last minute. So, I mean, it's the thing, do we want to do it for one or do we want to go through the effort of striking and marking it as parking spaces for everything or? I don't know, we just need some discussion on it.
Well, it's not a road. Either side of the museum is not a road, it's not an alley, it's not
Right.
anything, it's just city property.
But do we want to use it parking or do we want to use it for vendors, part of it for vendors? If we stripe it and put parking there, you're basically not gonna be able to have vendors.
Well, you just spray cannon in the dirt, it'll disappear. So it could be just one event. It's not asphalt. So we could just do it so that it's more convenient for parking in the July one, and it's just a council discussion.
Didn't you say that there was also some kind of a sign that was going to go up?
Well, that's the other thing. That piece of property is going to have a, kiosk.
Is it gonna be actually kind of like in the middle between the museum and the
They
White
want it
House?
set up so people can see around both sides of it. So we haven't it hasn't come in yet, so we need the exact measurement and go out and walk it and figure out what it's gonna be.
Yeah, because like I said, the thing is, those, not knowing what that is and where exactly it's going to be and how big it's going to be, is I wouldn't want to say, yeah, we want to make it a parking lot, when somebody's going to run it over.
So if they run it over, they are gonna run it over, it's a heavy duty mill.
Right.
But it is gonna be kind of large, so, and they want it faced this way, so people, you know, can see, pull up and see both sides.
So it's gonna be on the south side, not on the north side.
Yeah, the hot side.
The hot side, the hot side.
I don't know, I'm sorry,
Well, it was just a
I'm
suggestion.
directional challenge stuff.
It was just a suggestion to get some parking and utilize the city.
Yeah.
city
I think we
property.
need to first find out, the
Well,
kiosk
yes.
should be in here in this month. And get that, because we need to get that put in place before we do anything else.
Cause it would be. 'Cause if the kiosk goes in, then you're gonna have a vendor in there, it'd be
Well,
pretty difficult
Probably
for
not gonna
them.
be able to have it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to have vendors.
Like I say, that's the best place for it to utilize, so people can see what's in town, all through town. Yeah.
We can look at it when the kiosk is in, so yeah.
Okay, the next thing is the Ren Fair. John made a request, to be on there because he wants to use the White House and both sides of the museum, and I'm going to be the negative Nelly right now and say no on the White House because we just, declared the surplus. And, by the end of this month, we should have our RFP to go out for bid.
May I address the council?
Quickly, yes,
The reason I asked possibility of the White House is daily I'm getting calls from vendors.
mhm,
I would like to extend, if I can, down for Lynn Bean and get her more involved. And if I can, I'll get a vendor down there for her. The main activity will of course be on the north side where the belly dances were and the tarot card. We do have a granddaughter-in-law wants to vend in her regular spot, and somehow we will get a fee to the city for that. I will set that up with her. The parking, and I'm only talking about the Renaissance Fair. I do have locked, that was the lady with arrows, with the 4-inch square, arrows coming in. I would like to put her again at the very front. And then, we have a lot of people from Cindy's yard. There will be the grandkids got my yard booked, that last year parked over there. And what I would like to do, if council agrees, I'd like to let them park, but then collect a $10 parking fee or something and get that to the city. How about some?
Well,
And,
this is one, we're not gonna use the White House at all.
okay,
that's-
so you don't, okay,
That's been, I mean, that's that, we're saying nothing's gonna go up for sale. So I don't really want anybody there on that property. At
okay.
least that's my, I mean, that's up to everybody else.
Well-
That's my,
And all I'm trying to do is stretch the market a little bit because we're getting a lot of activity. But you know, flea markets are flea markets. Who the heck knows what's gonna happen? But if we can't use the right house, that's fine. I'll try and move it down into Lynn's yard. We have a king and queen court coming in. I don't know how big they are, and I'd like to get them. I was thinking the right house underneath the apple tree would be just about perfect for them in the shade. Maybe I can get them over in Lynn's, but we're trying to get more events, and that's the idea. Build this thing up.
well. About the charging, about the property?
Oh, yeah, charging, so what does the city get out of this? Do you put anything on the city property? Cause I know the city does a lot for the volunteers. You get, you know, the spaghetti feeds, the fire department, feed the Jeep club up at the, and so we don't ever
Well,
charge for that.
Well, should the idea with this thing is it was dying and we know it. But now we're trying to build it back up so the city can get something out of it. It may be a little bit at first, like Kelly called me the other day, how do I pay these fees? Well, there is no city license for this one. The city is out of it.
Right.
However, why can't I collect a donation from her and pass it on to the city? Unless there's something illegal in that. And the same thing, Cindy, has been parking her vendors around the museum quite a bit, you know that. But by organizing it the 4th of July, getting it all on that one side, I was gonna tell people, hey, can you kick in $10 for the city or $20 for the city? And try and pass it on to you guys as we build this thing up.
Well, she didn't have any vendors over there during Memorial Day. They were all on her property.
There were no vendors,
Yeah,
parking.
yeah,
parking.
parking, yeah, and camping, which is another thing. Well, cause we kind of muddled around that maybe a minimal charge to utilize the city property. Just because you're making, you know, you're trying to make money, so, I mean,
Well,
we're talking.
no, we're losing money on this, even though the hot dog stand,
Mhm.
and even though Cindy kind of lets it sit up for free, by the time, even with this grant we got this year, by the time we pay for the entertainment, get help with the porta potties, kick into the fire department for the trash and, things like that, it's gonna cost us money. We're gonna be spending money to build this event up. We're not making money on it. We're not
Well,
making
yeah,
anything on it. We haven't yet. I'm telling you right now.
So it's supposed to be the intent. Well, I just, you know, I think it's something that, you know, you hear, we don't have a lot of money.
Yeah,
And I'm talking about even a minimal fee of $50 to utilize the size of the, just, and then as you make money more, I mean, it's just, and we have to have the liability insurance too. We can't have anybody without
Which-
insurance.
And I think council is where we have now purchased an
Right, yeah.
annual policy, and you should have a copy of it in
Yeah,
there, Mike,
I'll have to
bring it
look at
again.
that, make sure that it covers us on that, because
Yeah,
it was interesting during flea market, there were some people that did not bring the right insurance, so.
well,
they had
this,
to-
this insurance is not event insurance, it is general liability, and the events that it covers have been listed.
Okay, well, I'll look at it again.
So, yeah, so Fourth of July, since we ramrod that, that is one of our events that is listed in that policy, that they, and if they don't come out with the name insured anymore, because some companies don't like to do that. But when we put the application in, we put in the specific number of events plus, and
I'll look at it.
fourth was one of the events put in there and covered.
So, what
So,
discussion you like?
My biggest thing is always on the hot side of the museum. We don't know when this kiosk comes.
Well,
Cause that's gonna change a whole lot of
I
stuff.
know, but I
You
don't,
won't by
we
July.
won't have enough by July.
Okay, so we can get by with it, this,
If it
this
comes
going.
up, if it comes in this next couple weeks, I mean, it's gonna be a project to get put in.
Okay, cause like I said, that's my only concern, is because we ain't holding up the people that are putting it
And
in.
you know that gal that was on that side, everybody parked around her.
yeah, we're gonna have to change the
Because-
parking.
That's what, I mean, that's why we came up with the parking thing,
Yeah.
because you had cones up and they went between the cones and they parked,
Yeah,
and she was
I-
surrounded by,
we put up with it every flea market, they come out the alley. You probably noticed the state didn't put their pylons out, no
Yeah.
parking. In the alley, this Memorial Day, and we had people parking all over the place
yeah.
and driving through the yard. Well, that's just part of life. That's all right. I mean, you know, that's
So-
part of having that event.
You mentioned you were gonna charge them for parking where you park.
Well, I was gonna ask,
Where are you gonna park them?
on the south side,
Oh.
and last year, I didn't mark anything out, but I kind of made parking areas against the museum and against the Wright House fence onto the city property, and angled park, and then they parked there. Now, that was for vendors that are on like the Cindy's property. Most of mine, Kelly's, kind of park on our property. We make room for them. But parking in there for the people who would normally, let's say, they sneak up over there and park on the north side of the library where Frank Carlson's gonna be and where the belly dancers are gonna be. They get in there Memorial Day, and even though the vendors are up front, they're sneaking around in from the back. If I give them a specified place to park on the back side of the south, say the back half of it, then that organizes that whole thing a little bit better. And yeah, I mean, 10, 20 bucks to park.
No.
I mean, and I'll do that voluntarily.
They'll
You
go
don't have to
somewhere
worry
else, they'll
about
go
that.
park down the street for free.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. That's totally different in there.
But if you're gonna put people to park over there, where are you gonna put the gal with the?
The gal, she will be right up front where she was last year. And that little area, and then they parked about the back half of it.
There were cars in the front and the back, actually.
Yeah, because they blocked over there, they parked across from Mary's and pulled in there for corn dogs. I can't blame them for that, but,
Yeah, well, we're gonna put signs.
more pylons this year. We need more of them up, and, they also parked in front of the Wright House, which kind of cut traffic off to go down the Limbs, and that kind of bothered me. So I'd like to get some no parking signs up there, some pylons out there, so that,
Well, everybody, I mean, like, we've always had people park up front
yeah,
there.
well, they can. We need to
We
let
have
them be able to walk all the way through.
you have to have parking somewhere. so-
Yeah, well,
Is there gonna be anything in Epler's parking lot, do you know?
I have, so far, I have 5 vendors. They will be along the front. And the nice thing about the Elkhorn is Dick lets me, they can put their tents up and they can park behind them. But there's still a lot of area back up in there that back towards the fence that nobody was ever using. And unless I am getting, like I said, about a vendor a day. If I get too many in there, I'll make a U-shape type thing. And then I'll put parking behind again, but it's probably still gonna be area available back there for if Dick wanted to rent out some parking. Or, I don't know, too bad we can't get that guy with a laundromat, but anyhow,
Yeah, he's not gonna look at
yeah,
it.
it's kind of, but
Did you want to have a quick, just a quick comment?
It sounds like you should just have this at the fairgrounds. There's plenty of parking, there's bathrooms,
Okay,
there's shade.
that's a whole different conversation, John, thank you. We've already had that
I
conversation.
mean, that solves all
No,
this problems,
We've
right?
already had that conversation, so.
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna ask the same thing, as a private event, I mean, I think it could grow and have your kind of.
well,
That's already, this is, we've already had this discussion
yeah,
a month or two ago, and right now it's a no start. So I'm not gonna take that on again.
however,
Mhm.
you guys know I go to the Boise Ren Fair, May. They cannot hold their Renaissance Fair in September in Boise. They are looking at Caldwell, and they are going to look at the grounds when they come up for the July 4th one. There's about a minuscule 10% less than that chance that they will bring it up here. They think it's too far. It would be a one-time event, but I'm definitely gonna be up there showing them the grounds.
Okay,
That could be a nice little fundraiser. So,
okay, so. So. I guess I need some kind of motion to approve John to use city property for his run fair.
the volunteers.
Okay, the volunteers. Well, we can hear with your names, the volunteers to use both sides of the museum's property, but not the right hand. Anybody?
Are we gonna throw in some sort of compensation? to the
Well,
city?
I mean, that's what we need to
Yeah.
discuss this and see. I need to know what you guys wanna
Well, I
do.
know it needs to get kicked off and they start doing it, but, it's revenue. Doesn't amount to much, but.
Do you wanna give him one more year? One more year.
Yeah, we'll do one more.
We need to set up a fee schedule for that property. If we're gonna do this. For everybody, anybody else who wants to use it too. I don't know,
I don't mind if they, kick in for the use of the property, but we will have to start setting up the fee schedule or John, when it gets bigger, John's gonna probably have to move it up to the grounds. Cause it does, probably gonna, at some point, create a problem down
But
there.
we never, during regular flea market before we got rid of the board, but even regular flea markets, we didn't charge for
well,
people that
we had
don't.
a vendor fees.
We have vendor fees that paid for them being on there. The private property owners charged whatever they wanted, but they still bought vendor flexes, and we got that money.
It was just like, it was just an extension of the background, the same license fees.
Or you want to charge as much as for more.
Well, in the past, we haven't, since the volunteers are trying to build this, we haven't charged any vendor fees because we're not ordering porta potties, we're not picking up trash, we are not, the city's not touching it. As far as the expense.
We have no expense on it, other than.
The city has no expense on this, we're taking care of all of that.
It's all it is that they want to. use
No
the property.
manpower,
So
nothing,
we just,
we're
we
doing
just
it all.
want to rent it out. The spot,
Well, that's
the
what we're,
whole spot.
we haven't in the past, that's what we're talking about. Do we need to start doing that, or do we want to give him a pass this year and make a fee schedule for up? So when somebody else comes in and wants to use it, I mean, I just, what's fair here?
Well, right now, because you either do it or you don't do it, so it's either, if you're gonna allow it to happen, then I would say that we don't know what the fee is, but it's coming.
Yeah.
And then, so how
Well, let's just,
soon are you gonna put together another meeting to come up with this fee that then you're gonna present to them to where they can make up their mind whether they wanna do it or not.
They're gonna,
Because I
they're
think
gonna,
John's getting to the point where he can't do it,
Well,
make that decision whether he does it or he doesn't do it.
no,
he's doing.
what we're suggesting is we give them a pass for this year, for just one Ren Fair. And then this council is going to set up a fee to utilize that city property.
Okay.
And we'll know better too, that's just in the kiosk thing. We don't
Right,
know that.
we don't know about the kiosk, how much room, I mean, there may not be room to,
We're kind of premature to set up a fee right
Yeah.
now. So
does that make sense?
I'm gonna make the motion
Well,
to,
the thing is though, if you look at it from the other aspect and say, why don't you rent both halves of the north side, the south side of the White House to the volunteers, and they can't have the White House,
Right,
and say it's $100. That's better than just giving it to them. I'm just saying.
oh, no, I
And then
understand.
next year's gonna be another year, because then you're gonna sit down and figure out everything that we do or do not have.
I would prefer that we set up a workshop and come up with a reasonable fee schedule, and put it on our fee schedules and vote on it. in a
So then
council
now we're saying that we're gonna give them the pass for this year.
Yeah,
He's more than welcome to collect money to give to the city to put in the
Kidding?
kitty. I don't know which fund it would go into, but I mean, if he wants to do that, but
In general.
the parks.
or general, general,
General.
general, everything goes in general. Okay, Daryl?
all right,
Check that.
I'm gonna make the motion to allow John and the volunteers to utilize the museum parking lot for the Ren Fair this year.
All second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thanks, John. Sorry, I just wanted to have a discussion on that, so we're all
And I
clear.
think it's proper,
Yeah.
we're doing this for the community.
Yeah.
And it helps people, and I think the city coming up with a small fee schedule to begin with, as the event grows, let's grow with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, like I say, once the kiosks in, then we can evaluate the area a little better and get more of a.
Okay.
And we will work on the city property and it'll be in a lot better shape than one we got.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. I'm gonna add the cemetery. You guys have a report.
Yeah,
Miss Terry's here. Sorry, I didn't know you were coming.
first of all, I wanna thank Kurt for his cat. It's a great little machine.
Mhm.
Well, I think we're gonna have a problem.
You did a great job.
Pardon me?
It looks real good out there. You did
Yeah,
a great job.
The problem is as I was using the little cat, I was plowing along there and I noticed something roll out on the end of the blade. And I'm not sure what's gonna happen, but golf ball was clear up there in the middle of all that grass. And I thought it might have been a ball bird. You might have a dead man's golf club starting up there, I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, and we still got some piles that we need to move. We got a little bit of fence work to do on the around Matt and I was talking about that, which is not much. They'll have that fixed from the upper end down around to the gate. And it probably wouldn't hurt someplace down the line, maybe not this year, if we could get another cleanup
Yeah,
date for the new part, just to go over what I've already done. I did go and talk to a good friend of mine that had a blade, Ronnie Barillo. And he come over and run his blade on the road for me, and I'd ask him to do the rest, to check out the rest of it, and he wouldn't do it. He said he couldn't do it any better than what I had it. So that made my head swell, and I went and sat down and thought that was good. But anyway, that thing's, I don't know if the Matt's got any more to add to it or not, but I do. I have some.
okay, what do you have to add, sir?
Oh, so I put a copy of this on for each of you folks.
Oh, is that where that came from?
Yeah,
You're doing a good job, Terry, thank you.
Mhm.
so on the front page, it shows the road that Terry made and where he graded everything. But what I wanted to find out from you guys is the next two pages, are the two options for plot plans. There's an A and B file there. Which one did you guys want to go for?
I thought we made this decision.
Well, I just want to make sure because I'm gonna go out there next week and I'm gonna start staking it. So there's a B. And there's an A.
Well, I kind of like,
I like the walking.
I like the walking path
B.
in between.
So B, B. That's what you said before, but again,
Oh, so this was a test.
No, it wasn't a test. It's, I'm going out there next week. I've got plenty of stuff to start staking things out.
No, you guys are doing a great job. It looks good up there.
Terry's doing a great job.
And I have some paperwork before you leave that I wanted to give to you.
Really?
Yeah, some about the old cemetery, the
Okay,
old plot.
great.
So these paths that go in between all of these plots,
Mhm.
are they big enough to drive across?
6 foot one.
Yeah, I think they're 10, the middle one is 10 foot wide.
That's the one that says it's a walking path?
Correct.
Because
And the
my,
road here
my,
is 6
my,
foot.
my thing is for where the roads are, that's a long ways to have to pack somebody.
Well, you
I mean,
can,
you know, normally you drive out across the cemetery and they got those roads you drive in on and that's how they.
yeah, so,
they get the,
so the road goes around here.
right.
So you have access from this road and this road, and if they did need to use the walking path.
So the walking path is drivable.
What's 10 feet?
It's 10 feet wide.
No, that's not what I asked.
Well, she-
It's
He
drivable.
did not pack it down, let's put it that way.
Well, the reason why I'm saying is because to carry somebody from here all the way to here or here, that's a long ways to carry someone.
I've done
I understand, well, you used to be
it. Not
younger,
with 5 other guys.
but you were younger.
We still talk about putting in different trails to make it shorter in places, once they got the plots laid out.
Well, the thing is the way that it is with the two walking paths,
Yeah,
if you can drive on them, then that solves that problem, because you can do the perimeter and then you got to cross it with the middle of it.
Well, so again, I'm gonna go out there next week, I'm gonna start plotting things out and, we'll see where that road ends up, or that path ends up, and if at some point we do wanna make it usable for vehicles, then we have to, obviously.
Well, I wouldn't say for vehicles, but I would say for the hearse, that's the only one that everybody else can figure out how they're gonna walk to it. But the hearse itself needs to be able to get to the plot.
Well, the backhoe can get down there, cause it's gotta dig the hole.
Well, it don't care, it go anywhere. But that's what I'm saying about the walking path, because you figure a car is what, 7 feet wide, they're not 8.
Yeah.
You know, so we're going down the 10-foot path, but I just wanted to make sure that the path was gonna be good enough. To where you don't just go out there and sink to the hood.
So right now it's not.
Okay.
Working hard.
Hence the term walking between
Okay, moving on to old business. We have the Resilient Hub grant. The contract was reviewed by city attorney, it was okay. It's been sent in. And we should be seeing money for that. Maybe the end of the month, but we got already in, so. And this will be for, a transfer switch and a pad and a generator for the schoolhouse.
Yeah, I think the quote also included a cover over the.
Yeah, I think it did too, yeah,
Okay.
so. And then,
Maybe a call for a pad and cover.
That's what
yeah,
I thought.
that's all I have, Daryl, you have a comment?
have no idea what that was. Yeah, I'm just a little concerned, we got the latest issue of Woodall's, which is a RV park magazine,
Mhm.
people get RV parks. And our tourism bookings and stuff from our Canadian friends up north, down as much as 50%, in some areas, 24% overall. So I'm just a little concerned on our RV parks being able to get more tourism coming in and stuff with the drop in reservations.
Well,
We usually get several people from Canada that are coming in this year, so.
You know, that you're down, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, well, everybody's down, so.
yes.
I did, yeah, we just got something from TLT too, they're looking for some, since they split off from Baker, they're looking for somebody to be on the board, so. I have to work on that.
How we do on us getting our TLT money.
I don't work on that. Well, they're still restructuring, so, you know, we haven't good enough numbers yet.
So Baker City hasn't gotten their
Yeah,
TLT.
they've split off, yeah, I think so.
Oh, they've already gotten their money and peeled off.
Rob, have you heard if they've gotten their money?
I haven't.
I haven't. I've got a thing from their, city manager, and I think they have, split off. That's what this letter's for. They're now having to regroup, but less than TLT.
Oh, that came in.
Yeah. Kelly.
Okay.
So, do you have anything?
No, I was just wondering about the TLT fund. I could look at that. Is Sherry gonna work on that?
If you want to.
Okay, the flea market, since we've had this lovely weather and no rain, the parking lot sucked. It was a lot of dust. I mean, it was a dust bowl up there. And I know we've been fighting with this idea for a while, what to do. And there is a possibility that we might have some rock, not fine gravel, but rock donated to take probably about 3/4 of that parking lot and just rock it. And then get a roller, pack it, and just get rid of the whole dust bowl up there. If we're gonna have turnouts like we did for Memorial Day, we need to fix that. So that's coming up. I'll get more details and get it on the agenda. And then there might be a small expense about somebody hauling it and then renting a roller to pack it. But other than that, maybe the rock will be done with it. So it needs to be fixed. It's time. So, public comment.
I can say something.
Okay,
So, into the spaghetti fee for the fire department, you're not really thinking there should be a fee for
No,
the
no, it's
city
just-
that comes to fire department.
No, that was just
Yeah,
the
that's,
events up there, but, feeding the locked and loaded breakfasts and stuff,
Sure,
that
I
is,
understand.
that strictly goes.
other people
to the
get charged,
volunteers.
other than, yeah.
Right.
No, it's
And
not.
and rightfully so, they
Yeah.
should be.
Anybody else?
Quickly, I'm watering the grounds. Seen a lot of critter activity up here. I've been talking to Daryl. I'd like to put up the T-post, the roost, see if we can draw any raptors in. Every time I go up there and walk around, move a sprinkler, there's more holes in the ground.
Well, we need to drag
So,
it, too. We need to drag this little section again, too.
now what's that?
We'll have to drag it again, too, before, we use it again.
Well, let's let it go for a while and let them come up.
Ice.
And, I wanna get the water and get the grass going up, and then I'll get the Kubota and turn the blade around, and I'll start selectively bringing the dirt around. I can throw some seed in there, and maybe I can get something going if I can spread the dirt, seed it a little bit quickly, and then get some water on top of it. Maybe I can get some seed coming up.
I'm still not sold on the raptor idea, because there's so many of those little critters everywhere. Why would they come to one place?
You mean the critters or the
The
raptors?
raptors.
Because it's easy picking. I love it when the ducks are in because it's easy shooting.
It's easy
You know?
picking any place you go right now. I see
Well-
those little suckers everywhere. I see them.
So Linda, if we stood around and tried nothing,
Well, we need to try to find somebody to get rid of them, but
well, yeah.
it's quicker than hoping that
I
the
did
critters.
some reading this morning. Here's another idea.
Mhm.
You can buy coyote urine in pellets and you spread it around and it drives them away. Okay, but I just-
Well, part of the bottom line is budget.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean, no matter what we do, it's gonna cost money. And John's idea of the T-post is actually
okay.
very
we'll try and
inexpensive.
see.
and
If it works.
If it works, great. If it
Okay.
you gotta
doesn't,
draw the
well,
predators.
we're still gonna be
That's it.
looking at other options.
We need, I need to talk to you about some options.
But again, the issue is budget.
Yeah, okay.
And when you're dealing
Well,
with.
I'm gonna have to see it, like, call me when they start showing up.
Unfortunately, when you're dealing with, rodent control and vector control, the liability issue is a big one.
Yeah, that's what I do. John. Patterson.
Okay, speaking of RV parks, Bo's got 4 campers down there, he's got them pretty
I know.
regular. That is an RV park, Charlie, that's what you were talking about, 18 urinals, 72 showers, Bo. That's what you're supposed to have, because it's in the commercial zone.
Okay.
It's all supposed to be paved or concrete.
Thank you,
So-
John, for the work.
Yeah, read the ordinance on a commercial RV park.
So I'd just like to have you review the resolution you wrote for the 3 RV parks that we have to follow.
We're aware. Paul.
Yeah.
Neither,
We were-
neither them.
Yeah, we already talked about the meter. Yeah. Okay, anybody else?
I'm making a motion when we adjourn.
Second that motion.
Oh.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Well, that's in this.
Okay.
You talking about
No.
a rule?
Moral kit.
But he's a huge shot.
You can have, so you can have.
That would be.